how different men and women are really? I was very curious to know. Let's figure it out. Beliefs about sex differences and gender roles remain very much a flashpoint in cultural and political controversies today. From the Me Too movement against sexual harassment, the persistent pay gap, the conspicuous absence of women from positions of leadership and power today, and men from the playground, kitchen, and carpool pickup. Hi everyone, this is me, Jyotika Bedi. I'm the founder of Happiness is Love. The nature versus nurture question has divided not only the general public, but also scientists themselves. There are so many theories today. Sex differences are still one of the hottest topics in scientific research. Some of the research reinforces what you call the myth that the gaps between men and women are huge, that women tend to be more empathetic than men, and men are better at math and spatial reasoning, as well as more promiscuous, that men and women's brains are structurally too different, and so on. How different really are women and men? And where do these differences really come from? Let's decode this together. This is my understanding and I'd love to share with you. One of the most important things that biology has taught us all over the last 50 years is that nature and nurture can't necessarily be separated. And there is biological feedback that happens as a result of our environment. So let me give you an example. So for instance, if you give a very young child mechanical toys to play with, stuff that exercises their ability to build things and make things, they will indeed be better, biologically better at making and building things because of the experiences that they have had. So, a social interface produces a biological effect. That goes a long way in explaining the sex differences that we do see today. When parents say to me, my girls prefer dolls and my boys like to play with trucks. I'm a mother of three, I have a boy and twin daughters, so I get it. Well, you have to ask them, what kind of toys did you give them while they were growing up? Pertinent question, valid question. Because I have a son and daughters, I understand. And when my son was growing up, he didn't receive a doll until he was 4. So, of course, for those 4 years, he didn't play with dolls. We forgot the kind of input we have as we're raising children produces a profound effect in gender disparities that we see later on. We assume everything we see is biology, when in fact the social and cultural inputs are huge and as important. Not to say that they account for everything in terms of gender differences, but, there is a but. As far as we can tell, they certainly account for a lot more than we thought they did. The amount we've been socialized, the amount we've been affected by teaching and education and upbringing in the course of our lives really means that we will exhibit differences, surely, as adults. Obviously, because we live in a very gendered society. So it's very difficult to disentangle biology from the effects of society, culture, and the environment when we're studying sex differences. Now, speculation, I believe, is very dangerous. So even if they have a study that, for example, may show some structural differences the brains of men and women have, that's one thing, given. To then infer from that that the women are better at multitasking or just are generally more empathetic or that men are more rational. I don't think we can do that. The newer science just isn't there yet. The brain is such a complex organ, such a mystery till today. The kind of speculation is kind of dangerous. All it does is build on our stereotypes. It's very unscientific. You need a lot more data to be able to draw such big, grand, sweeping conclusions. Approaching that question of who should do what in society in a biologically deterministic way is again, according to me, very dangerous. Science is actually quite emphatically ambiguous. If we're going to read anything into the science, it's that we don't really know very much right now for us to just conclude. And what we do know suggests that the psychological differences between the sexes are really small, and that cognitively, in intelligence terms, they are almost non-existent. Biology certainly can't account for the great gender disparities we see in many societies today. I would like to also add that we forgot that in hunter-gatherer societies, historically, people tended to live relatively egalitarian lives where women were able to do everything that men did. There wasn't always this sharp division in roles and responsibilities then. Even in the armed forces, one of the reasons that women have been prevented from taking on combat roles in the armed forces roles is strength issue. That women have, let's say, half the upper body strength of men, but that's an average. Again, we may never see parity, but that doesn't mean the women who are strong enough to do that job need to be barred from it. When men who may be weaker than these women are still allowed to do it. That isn't fair. Things are changing, and I am hopeful for a gender-neutral world. We shouldn't have equality because science says it's possible. No, the message is there's no reason why we can't have equality if we want it. Science doesn't say that equality is impossible. We are adaptable and plastic. As human beings, neuroplasticity is a beautiful phenomenon. We can have society want anything that we want. Basically, science says there is hardly any difference. If there is, just very little. So why do we make such sweeping statements, is my question. Let's focus on appreciating our similarities and celebrating and respecting our differences. Different doesn't mean bad or worse or better. Do you believe that gender roles can be absolute in a species as complex as human beings? I would love to know your thoughts, your inputs. Do comment in the box below. I'd love to hear from you. We at Happiness is Love believe that we are here to build ourselves, build each other, build a better future. Because together we are stronger. Together we will win. Stay tuned for more. Keep smiling, keep shining, keep inspiring.